Welcome back, friends. You would have observed and followed what's going on in Iran. The United States is attacking Iran, and there are several explanations as to why the United States is attacking Iran. Some say it's because Trump wants to detract from the Epstein files. Some say it's because the deep state in the US is keen to take control of Iran's oil and other natural resources. Some others say that the United States is attacking Iran because it wants control of the territory which is strategically located in Eurasia, and so on. But rarely do they look at the background to this military operation, which had been planned in 1996 by Zbigniew Brzezinski when he wrote the blueprint for United States primacy in Eurasia. We discussed this once before, that Brzezinski identified Iran, Russia, and China as the three obstacles to US primacy in the world. And according to his plan, the US administration attempted to bring Ukraine into its sphere of influence so that Russia could be brought to its knees. Now that failed. And the second attempt now being tried is with Iran. Together with Israel, the United States is attacking Iran supposedly to prevent it from obtaining nuclear weapons. Although Iran has repeatedly denied that it has any interest at all in getting nuclear weapons. But that doesn't prevent either Trump or Netanyahu from attacking Iran, for the reason that the attack is carried out for more complex and in some ways hidden reasons. And to understand that, one has to look at the role of US imperialism and its interests. You may recollect that in 1952, during the Suez Crisis, Israel joined the United States and Britain in attacking Gamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt to overthrow his regime for the fact that he nationalized the Suez Canal. Now that military venture failed. Since then, United States and Israel have been working together to advance their particular interests. The US interest is to establish total hegemony over the West Asia, and especially over the energy-rich countries in West Asia. Israel's interest is in pursuing its messianic dream of a greater Israel, of bringing most of the area between the Nile and the Euphrates under Israeli control and ideally absorb them into Israel to produce the greater Israel territory. Now, these two countries have come together, as I said, to pursue their separate interests, but mutually reinforce their operations. Unable to grasp the dynamic interaction between US imperialism and Israeli Zionism, very often analysts get mired in trying to guess as to who is leading whom. So some argue that it is Israel that is dragging the United States into a war with Iran. Others argue that the United States is actually using Israel as a proxy in order to advance its global ambitions. Now, what is lost in this is the symbiotic relationship between the United States and Israel, both supporting each other and gaining from each other for their separate goals. As a result, one finds rather dubious explanations about how Israel is controlling Washington, or that Washington is controlling Tel Aviv. But we should go beyond that. We should see the larger picture. And the larger picture is that both Israel and the United States are working to unravel the nation states that now function in West Asia, partly because those nation states have their own interests and very often are reluctant to allow US or Israeli hegemony. Also because the intention is to actually degrade these states and have them collapse so that both Israel and the United States can go there and pick up the pieces. And how is that to be done? One was, as you saw in the case of Syria, US and Israel got together and destroyed Assad's regime. And Israel has tried to collapse Lebanon by attacking Lebanon, claiming it is providing sanctuary to the Hezbollah. Now, in both cases, the success is fairly limited. In Syria, a former Al Qaeda leader has taken control, and how that will play out remains to be seen. Lebanon has resisted Israeli attacks and continues to stand on its own. How will Iran fare? It's too early to say. But the indications are that the assassination of Ayatollah Khamenei by the US Israel combined, on the face of it, may have weakened the government in Iran, but at the same time, it could also galvanize the rulers in Iran to resist the United States and Israel to the last. And in this scenario, there is some satisfaction in Tel Aviv and in Washington that Iran, by bombing US bases in the Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, is really helping to collapse those regimes so that the United States and Israel could reap the benefits of a disorganized, chaotic region. But that is easier said than done. And we wait to see how far these military operations by Iran would actually help the United States and Israel in dismantling the regimes in the Gulf area. But the fact is, most of the Gulf countries are not anti-American. In fact, the families that rule in the Gulf sheikdoms or the emirs or the Emirates are very much pro United States. So, what is the purpose of collapsing them? One possibility is to create conditions for a greater Israel, where Israel can acquire those territories or parts of those areas, which serves US imperialism so that they solidify their outpost, which is Israel in West Asia. And having consolidated their position, Israel is then expected to serve the US interest by curbing and, in fact, crushing anti American nationalism in many of those countries. We will watch this situation as it evolves, and let's discuss this at the next option when we meet. And for now, thank you for being here, and please like and subscribe if you have agreed, if you enjoyed our discussion. Goodbye.